Good evening, all. This is a project that we designed for one of our closest friend. Actually, during our initial days of practice, he's the one who used to support us by giving different projects. The first project that we got was a pre-primary school, and after that project, we got another library. So after all the projects, he is still giving us new projects. Even after this, I think he will still uh, consult us. That's a good thing that we are happy to share that. So this house is basically, the name itself shows the skin and bone residence. Here the main two elements are the mud wall and the GI frames. So the thin mud wall act as a skin, and the GI skeletal structure acting as a bone of this house. That's how we name this as a skin and bone residence. So to give a more idea about the house, we'll show you a video about it. Okay, that's about the whole project. So now we are getting into the element part of it. So basically, in this project, since the client is he doesn't want anything conventional. So he wanted his house to be completely unconventional. So he gave us the freedom to experiment with the materials and spaces and everything. So we have used many materials in this project. We even used the discarded radiator fans as the main facade element, and we even used the coconut shells as a wall element. So like that much of freedom we had in this project. So this is to show where that deck, that retractable deck is situated. The yellow portion of it is the retractable deck. This entire project is actually like a two main block. In between we have courtyards. So on the left side, you can see a wider courtyard where there are existing trees like mango trees and everything is there. So on to the left, you have a paddy field. So in that paddy field, this deck is actually getting opened. So in this section, what you can see is the red marked area is the deck, how it responds to the paddy field which is nearby. So from the paddy field, what you get to see is the west side elevation of this house. So in this, with the lush vegetation, the entire house is almost hidden in the vegetation. So the only thing which contrasts to the entire elevation is the deck part of it. So what you see on the left side is that retractable deck. So when the deck is fully closed, it also acts as a wall. It also acts as a security area where people cannot enter to the house. So while deciding the floor of the deck, we use bamboo because when it is closed, it goes well along with the entire existing trees which were there. So with the help of a winch, that winch can withstand a weight of 400 kg. With the help of that winch, we are operating this deck. So when the deck is fully opened, like this deck can be used as a outdoor dining space. It can even be used as a yoga space. Maybe some kids even come there just to play, since it is directly open to the paddy field. That ambience that the deck can give is the best experience in that house. So these are some technical aspects of the deck, where the bottom portion of the deck is fixed to the frame with a flat hinge so that the deck can rotate 90 degrees. So with the help of the winch, it is operating. So the pulley is used to change the direction of the force that we apply. So these are the technical aspects of it. The various functions during the different times of a year and different times of a day, the deck functions differently. Maybe like what I said, it can during monsoon. I think the first site visit when we had, it was during monsoon. That is when we had a thought of giving a deck there, because the paddy field was fully, it was completely with water. So we wanted something projecting from the house so that we can sit or we can stand on that, maybe having a cup of tea. So that kind of feel from the first site visit itself we had in our mind. There's another video showing how the deck is getting operated. So that's about the deck. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Now let's move on to the question and answer session.
Congratulations. It's a fantastic work. I mean, I don't want to talk about the motors, the hinge and all. I find that is any mechanical engineer or a guy who runs a garage will do that for you. I think that's not the crux of your whole project. What struck me actually when I entered the house is the joy you guys would have had, the pleasure you had in doing it. And everything in the house, everything, there's nothing that is left out to exploring this joy and enjoying doing things almost with your own hands. I find that is exceptional. And on the other side, you got a framework that is so tight and so mature. I thought this must be a very mature architectural firm, but I didn't expect such young people doing this. So I'm actually blown. It's a fantastic work.
Thank you, sir.
I think there are two conversations happening here, the house itself and the element. The house will also be discussed tomorrow. So, yeah, we loved visiting this place, and of course, also the joy with which the client's family is inhabiting it. It was really lovely, and I think the best architecture comes from a very true collaboration with who's going to be using the space, and this was one case of this. In the element itself, I had a question. This paddy field, are these commons or private, or they're owned by the client?
Owned by the client.
Owned by the client. Okay. I think, and how often is it actually used? Because when you go there and then you actually have to unspool it, it is a bit of a exercise.
He's a retired headmaster. So
Huh?
He's a retired headmaster, so he's got more than enough time in his daily life where he can operate the deck and probably put it to any use whenever he wants.
No, there's no probably. That's an actual question because
Yeah.
he's been using it. So it's used very often. Is that your response?
No, once it's opened up and it's in the retracted state,
Huh.
it might remain in that state for quite
Acha,
some
he
period.
keeps it in the
Once
same
he
state for
closes
a while.
it might remain closed for some time.
Yeah.
The
No,
frequency is not probably an everyday happening,
Huh.
but when the seasonal changes happen, when the water gets flood, when kids come in, all
Yeah.
these things, when it happens, the deck opens naturally.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I think it's a beautiful gesture because it's so tiny and it's so precise, but it just opens it out to the whole landscape. And it really sort of, which is one special characteristic of Indian architecture, that blurring of boundaries between inside and out, it does very beautifully and very precisely. I still feel specifically because he's a retired headmaster, whether the operation of it, because one is time, the other is, human tendencies, what is easy is done more often. That was something, that's just one small input. But yeah, having said that, it's a lovely project and quite a, as Viren said, a joyous element. And that's to be celebrated.
Just a quick observation. I think it's a phenomenal project.
Thank you.
So I see, if I have to project, probably the difficulty for you was in choosing which element to kind of present.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
And what is strange in this, when I say strange, I use it in a in a celebratory way, so it's not strange. What is surreal about this element is that when it's taken out and after you see the project and then you suddenly starkly see the element, for me the element was carrying the memory of the whole home. It was not the element I was seeing, that it's, you begin to ask, what is this element a part of? And having said it, I just thought, if the same play, now this is not critical, I'm just saying it, that the definition of element, how does one look at an architectural element? One can look at it as a detail, practically used. But here there was an element where that whole relationship to the paddy field, was not just the ramp, but the manner in which that whole steel kind of porosity, and so I was actually envisioning that as an entire element of which this is a part, when I was seeing that you create a certain
That's
layer.
the reason we kind of showed the whole house right at the start, because understanding the project is understanding its key two elements.
Wonderful project.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.